The Vision for a Sustainable Era launched.
Which American firm has assumed the role of advising Sri Lanka on democratic governance? A special expose.
Subject Minister reject Delimitation Appeals Committee report submitted without the signatures of 2 committee members.
ලංකාව පිට හිටියේ මම වන්දනාවට ගිහිල්ලා හිටියේ. හැබැයි මම දැනගත්තා මේ අවස්ථාවේදී මගේ පැමිණීම අත්‍යවශ්‍යයි කියලා. ඒ නිසා අද උදේ 4ට මම ලංකාවට ආවා.
Azad Sali laments about the current administration.
මේ ආණ්ඩුවද බලයට මං කියනවා කියලා මමම සෙරප්පෙන් ගා ගන්නනේ මට.
Former Deputy Minister Sarath Kumar Gunaratne remanded until the 9th of this month.
What's happening around the world?
And what's happening here at home?
Good evening and welcome to Primetime News. I'm Sandro Ferdinando.
And I'm Bernadine Jazz Singha. Very good evening to you. Let's now take a look at your top story. The Vision for a Sustainable Era was launched at the Presidential Secretariat today.
At the event held this morning, a Vision for Sustainable Era in Sri Lanka was launched, centered around the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals adopted by the United Nations.
අපි රටක් විදියට ශක්තිමත් වෙන්න. ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන්ම
We must be very strong as a country. We must be free of poverty. We must be free of the economic crisis. In order to strengthen our physical resources, we must have progress in local industries, in local agriculture and local manufacturing. We must take every step possible to grow our export revenue. The need of the hour in our country is not people in power attempting to consolidate their power and people who are hoping to come into power, working with the motive of claiming power. The need of the hour in the country is that everyone should work with a bond of fraternity and positivity to take this great country forward.
රට ඉදිරියට ගෙන යාමට සියලු දෙනා එකට එක් වී කටයුතු කිරීමයි.
As part of the Sustainable Era program, a committee of 17 experts from 17 fields will convene to draft national policies with the intention of achieving the 17 Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. The document containing the terms to reference for the committee, including the guidance of the President, was presented to committee member Professor Mohan Munasinghe.
පාර්ලිමේන්තුව තුල මේ
Within Parliament, new committees have been appointed and have been empowered, while new programs have been initiated to bring about balanced development. Work has also commenced through this program to take this development process to every sector in the country, including the provincial councils. Let us all get together and implement the mandate of President Maithripala Sirisena to bring development and progress to the country.
Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government Faiza Mustafa says that the final report compiled by the Delimitation Appeals Committee cannot be accepted as all members of the committee have not signed the report. The minister expressed these views when a group of including the chairman of the Delimitation Appeals Committee, Asoka Piris, arrived at the ministry to hand over the final report.
Have all the committee members signed the report that you handed in? Mr. Asoka, we can't spend the entire day here. How many have signed the report?
3 members.
Mr. Asoka, I request you hand in this report once you have obtained the signatures of all members. I appointed 5 members, so please instruct the others to sign this as well. Have you informed them in writing?
They don't need to be informed in writing. Based on your request, we will send our letters calling on the other members to sign. Minister, you could have sorted this among yourselves without asking us to come here.
I came in today. As a journalist, you can easily point the finger, but you will realize the difficulties if you sit in this chair. If I did not hold this media briefing today, then you will say that the minister evaded the issue.
මගහරියා කියලා.
Why did you bring in this report at the last moment without the signatures of two members?
I don't mind if you put me on the spot. He was unable to obtain two signatures. I returned after stopping my pilgrimage. Must have attempted to secure these two signatures. I gave him that respect. Before he came here, it was in the media that two signatures were lacking. If this was done, then there wouldn't have been a problem.
Three of us convened on Saturday and signed the report. The other two said that they would sign after going through the report. They could even refrain from signing after reading the report. So the three of us decided, since there is a majority, to submit the report to the minister.
I believe that he will be able to obtain the two signatures required and hand over the report in the coming week during a meeting like this.
Leader of the National Unity Alliance, Azad Saleh, joined a discussion at the BBC Sinhala service in London recently.
We had problems with the Rajapaksa government. We had nearly 476 complaints. However, today, over the period of 23 months, we have 223 complaints. This government, my government, has not taken any steps in this regard. I don't know how to respond when people say that the government you helped bring to power is hitting us hard. I am the one who spoke about the independent commissions at every debate. We started boasting that the independent commissions were appointed, that the elections commissioner will be able to implement the laws properly, and the police will do their duty. But what happened? I am ashamed. When I remember that I helped bring this government to power, I feel like hitting myself with a slipper.
Azad Saleh also commented on the recent statements made by the former president to foreign correspondents.
I have been telling over the past 3 months that the United National Party and Mahinda Rajapaksa have struck a deal. Avoiding the arrest of any of the Rajapaksas is what the deal entails. What is that threat levelled? Who are they trying to scare? They are trying to scare Maithripala. How can they achieve that? How will Mahinda come to power when Sirisena is in power? They can bring an impeachment motion against the president, and once that is done, the prime minister will become the president, and the vacant position for a prime minister will be filled by someone. Is that what this deal is all about? Is that the reason why they are not arrested as yet? Deputy Minister Nishantha Muthuhettigama had this to say at a media briefing held at the SLFP office in Galle today. As people who are involved in politics in the village, we can see that the response of villagers to the good governance government is not positive. We believe that steps must be taken in the coming months to correct the good governance government. We invite you to join us. We need not wait until 2020. We need not wait until 2020. We propose that we begin work from tomorrow to form a government that fulfills the hopes of the people. This is in the hands of President Maithripala Sirisena, not in the hands of President Mahinda Rajapaksa. We invite him to join us. We are not prepared to denigrate the position of Deputy Minister granted by President Maithripala Sirisena and move backwards.
Meanwhile, former Minister Kumaravelgama also leveled criticisms at the current government today.
I was the first among Sri Lankan politicians to say that the UNP-SLFP partnership would not work, and therefore I would not join. An SLFP government will have to be formed. I made this forecast some time ago. I said before President Maithripala Sirisena himself that the UNP-SLFP partnership would not work and that I would not join it. The UNPers keep saying, if you cannot stay here, then leave. While they are saying this, how can they remain in this government? In order for there to be true change, an SLFP government must be formed. Former Deputy Minister Sarath Kumaragunratna was remanded until the 9th of this month when he was produced before the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court today. The Criminal Investigations Department had arrested the former Deputy Minister this morning over an allegation that he had defrauded a sum of 11.2 million rupees from funds allocated for the renovation of the Nigambo Fisheries Harbour. The CID submitted that Sarath Kumaragunratne was arrested and produced in court on the recommendation of the Presidential Commission to investigate serious acts of fraud or corruption, also known as Presifac. Considering the submissions made, Colombo Chief Magistrate Lal Bandara ordered that the suspect be placed in remand custody until the 9th of January.
The Island newspaper reported today that a United States company, Development Alternative Incorporation, has been chosen to carry out a mega project aimed at reforming Sri Lanka's public sector.
The scope of the project is to strengthen democratic governance and accountability in the country, and it is the first of its kind implemented in Sri Lanka. The Island reports that the US Embassy in Colombo confirmed that DAI, or Development Alternative Incorporated, would work closely with the Parliament, independent commissions and related ministries. USAID will be funding the project worth $13 million or a sum close to 1.92 billion Sri Lankan rupees. The paper goes on to note that the project had been finalized by a parliamentary delegation led by Speaker Karu Jayasuriya during a visit to Washington last September. The delegation comprised Ajit P. Pereira, Deputy Minister of Power and Renewable Energy, Karunaratne Pannavithana, Deputy Minister of Parliament Reforms and Mass Media, Dr. Sudarshini Fernando Pulle, State Minister of City Planning and Water Supply, and Dhammika Dasanayaka, Secretary General of Parliament. DAI describes themselves as an organization that tackles fundamental social and economic development problems caused by inefficient markets, ineffective governance and instability. The official website of DAI notes that since 1970 they have worked in more than 150 countries, delivering results across the spectrum of international development contexts, from stable societies and high-growth economies to challenging environments racked by political or military conflict. The website further notes that it engages primarily with USAID, the UK Department for International Development and the European Commission in a number of regions around the world. Describing their work under the governance sector, DAI notes that it functions primarily with legislative strengthening, decentralization and local government management, institutional and policy reform, public administration, civil service reform and human resources management, voice and accountability, law and justice, public financial management and health governance. DAI is active in a number of regions across the world, as well as in countries including Georgia, Haiti, Iraq, Kosovo, Afghanistan, Myanmar, Nepal, Cambodia and Kenya. This is not the first time that DAI has been involved in a project concerning Sri Lanka. According to its official website, in 2015-16, DAI participated in a project to provide short-term technical assistance to the Sri Lankan Parliament. It further notes that it is involved in a 4-year-long municipal waste recycling project activated in 2016 and an EU public diplomacy and outreach program in the SAARC region. However, several journalists and civil society activists around the world have criticized the US-based company over the years. Eva Gollinger, a Venezuelan-American attorney and journalist, claims that DAI is a Central Intelligence Agency front organization for their covert actions. Gollinger says that USAID arrived at a multi-million-dollar project with DAI in the year 2002 and that it funded anti-Hugo Chavez groups in an attempt to topple the existing system of governance in Venezuela. The New York Times had reported last month that a US contract worker has been arrested in Venezuela for distributing communications equipment. Gollinger in her article says that this individual too was attached to the Development Alternative Incorporated and has been supplying this communications equipment to anti-government groups. She goes on to say that all references in this article to DAI in Venezuela are thoroughly documented in her book, The Chavez Code, Cracking US Intervention in Venezuela. We inquired from the Minister of Public Administration and Management into why such an organization was being brought into Sri Lanka.
We need to learn lessons from the programs implemented by developed countries in the world. We need to find out how countries developed, not only America. We need to gain knowledge from countries such as Malaysia, Singapore and Japan as well.
We have
not taken steps to obtain assistance from any American company. We have not tasked any company with training our officials.
How did this organization enter into agreements with Sri Lanka without the knowledge of the subject minister? What are they gearing up for?
Anti-corruption organizations reacted today to a statement made by Special Assignments Minister Dr. Sarath Amunugama on his proposal to introduce a new bill to combat fraud and corruption.
A new bill will be introduced. As per my proposal, not only will the thief be caught, the law will empower the state to seize all the assets too. We will submit it to the cabinet and we shall see what decision is made by the cabinet. You send me to parliament to stop corruption. These people cannot exist without ministerial positions. Therefore, we cannot have any faith in the statements made by people who remain with the side that gives them a ministry. We do not know if Sarath Amunugama has made this statement on the side of President Maithripala Sirisena or on the side of Ranil Wickremesinghe. He is the Special Assignments Minister. This is a special assignment too. He may carry out a special assignment for the next government that he is in. He begins somewhere and ends somewhere else. He is a minister in this coalition government, and if another government is formed, he may hope to become a minister in that too. We believe that the people will not allow such people to go far. They will change. It is possible that such people are being used to make certain statements to stir public opposition against governments. We do not have faith that there is any true intervention on their part.
Sarath
Amunugama has taken various stances at various instances. At one time he worked with Chandrika Kumaratunga, then he was with Mahinda Rajapaksa. In the latter stages of that government, he was saying that he would retire, and then he was appointed Minister of Special Projects and he had no real work to do. At the same time, he was not involved in the January 8th movement and had no feeling towards it. Sarath Amunugama has no understanding of the consensus that was reached between the people, the President and the Prime Minister. He is saying that he will introduce a bill and this will lead to a faltering of judicial processes and investigations of certain persons accused of corruption. We question whether this is being done to cause a delay in these processes. We feel that this is a grave danger to the agreement reached on the 8th of January. When ministers make such statements and propagate these thoughts among the general public, and when they follow policies of procrastination, we wonder whether they are attempting to protect the rogues under the guise of introducing regulations. Are the ministers fulfilling the aspirations of the previous government? These are deep-seated fears we have when hearing such statements.
Ministerial level talks between India and Sri Lanka on the fishermen issue was held in Colombo today.
The Minister of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare of India, Radha Mohan Singh, along with a group of representatives from India, met with Minister of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, Mahinda Amaravira, and representatives from Sri Lanka. The talks followed the first meeting of the Joint Working Group on Fisheries held in New Delhi on the 31st of December. Views were exchanged on possible mechanisms to help find a permanent solution to the fishermen issue. Subsequent to the ministerial meeting, TNA parliamentarian M.A. Sumandran spoke to the media.
On the Indian side, they reported that up to now, 92 bottom trawlers have been replaced by vessels that use other methods. They have reported that they don't issue licenses for trawlers that do bottom trawling anymore. They have reiterated their commitment to end bottom trawling.
Questions were also raised on the smuggling of large hauls of drugs into the country through the northern seas.
We have seen during the past few months several haul of drugs have been entering the country. Instance, if you take Kerala Ganja, for that matter. But when you ask the Sri Lankan fishermen, they say, well, we are not responsible. But when you ask from the other side, they say, we are not the ones who are involved in it. But I would like to ask you the question, so who is responsible for this if both parties say we are not?
Well, probably both are responsible. Probably. It doesn't require,
so it's happening with mutual agreement and...
No, we don't know. It's happening, right? And common sense would tell you that probably people on both sides are responsible. This is one of the, once we tighten this joint petroleum, we have discussed that as well today. That trade also will take a huge hit, and that's our hope.
The opening ceremony and the launch of the Institute of National Security Studies Sri Lanka was held in Colombo today.
The Institute of National Security Studies, known as the INSSSL, is the premier national defence think tank of Sri Lanka under the Ministry of Defence. The institute has been established to understand the security environment and to work with government to craft evidence-based policy options and strategies for debate and discussion to ensure national security.
Last year, if you look at it, there was $14 trillion was spent on international conflicts, which was a stunning figure actually, about 13% of the global GDP. We can't isolate incidents and find solutions today. We need to work as one human community to find solutions in collaboration. Yesterday's security threat in one particular nation could also influence another nation in a completely different part of the world. In this equation, a think tank will be of immense value. There is not a single country on this planet that has achieved greatness without investment in research. We have started something new, which will eventually be of enormous benefit to our nation.
Today, as a nation, we have taken an important step by developing and opening the research office of the premier national think tank under the Ministry of Defence with the leadership of His Excellency President Maithripala Sirisena. I think this is something we have been working with quite a lot of our friends, trying to establish some kind of research arm of the ministry so that we can understand the environment that we live. As a country that has fought a civil war for almost 3 decades and situated at a significant geostrategic location, it is vital and important to understand internal and external threats to our nation. INSSL input and assessment based on high quality research will be appreciated in this regard in the near future. Research in security will help us to formulate and identify how we should orchestrate our own national security.
The number of incidents of cave-ins and cracks appearing in houses located in the Arawata village in Udapero, Bandarawala due to the Umayo project has been on the rise.
Our correspondent says that cracks have appeared on 33 houses so far. Families residing in 4 houses in the Arawata village in Udapero had to leave their homes due to the dangerous situation.
It is caving in and collapsing. We will not be able to construct a house in this lifetime. Cracks began to appear at around 7 this morning. We were not informed to leave.
Cracks started appearing at around 8:30 this morning before our eyes. The houses are damaged and cracks have begun to appear even on the ceiling. There is no way for a person to even sleep. Very soon the Bandarawala town too will be destroyed.
Bandarawala Divisional Secretary P.R. Gunaratna and Assistant Director of the Baduli District Disaster Management Centre EMAL Udayakumara visited the area and inquired into the well-being of those who had to vacate their homes.
Around 390 houses have been affected. Those residing in 20 houses have been requested to leave. Today we inspected 4 houses that have seriously been damaged. We have asked the residents of the 4 houses to find alternative places to reside. The project director has agreed to provide houses on rent to these families.
දිගටම සීල් කරගෙන තමයි මුද්‍රා තබමින් තමයි මේ මොමග ඉදිරියට ගෙනියන්නේ.
This tunnel has been constructed by continuously sealing it off. The water capacity was reduced for around 17 to 18 days from the beginning of December. Unfortunately, 3 days later, the leak increased. It was during the time of the leak that we received complaints about the cracks appearing in houses. There is a tunnel trace. Feasibility reports have been done on the water in wells and houses located on either side of the tunnel spanning a distance of 300 meters. However, it is difficult for us to conclude whether it is affecting every house. The water seeps through the cracks on the ground to the tunnel. It is very difficult for the experts to reach a conclusion on the extent of the area. The Umayo Multipurpose Development Project comes under the purview of the Ministry of Mahaweli Development and Environment. The government reiterates that any inconvenience caused to the general public must be minimized. This is what we keep in mind.
Ceremonies to mark the commencement of the duties in the new year was held at a number of ministries.
Minister of Public Administration and Management Ranjit Mattuma Bandara began work in the new year following an announcement.
By 2020, the basic salary of all public servants will double. We have a responsibility to achieve the goals of the government and to uplift the living standards of the people. As politicians and public servants, if we have travelled to countries such as Singapore or Malaysia, we must work towards making our country similar to those countries.
Finance Minister Ravi Khananayaka commenced duties for the new year following religious observances.
The President's vision is to eradicate poverty. It is not to reduce poverty but to eradicate it completely. If we make this our vision, we cannot just embark on the road to development in 2017 but even eradicate poverty. It is vital to give priority to the youth of the country. We need to work together.
Minister of Public Enterprise Development Kabir Hashim also commenced duties for the year.
An incident where a group of persons entered a business establishment in the Mathura town and forcibly obtained money from a cashier was caught on camera recently.
We leave you with the CCTV footage from the incident.